Reyna is the most hated character on Reddit, and in this video, we're going to break down exactly why players think that she is a failure of game design and promotes bad players or players that don't learn the game, and some counterpoints and counter arguments to these points. We're going to break it all down, but if you enjoy the content, do us a solid and press subscribe, and let's get into it. So this article went super viral on the Valorant Reddit, and it said Reyna is a failure of game design, and he basically breaks down his opinions about Reyna and showcases some of the things about Reyna that make her really a bad character for the game. And so let's actually dive into what he says. He says Reyna is poorly designed in Valorant and doesn't teach how to play the game properly, leading to a high amount of Reyna mains in mid-high elo with the game sense of a bronze player. In this necessary, I will blah blah blah. The only lesson to be learned from your mistakes playing Reyna is that you didn't get the kill. Reyna does not teach players to position well. This is his argument. Imagine the scenario where on round start, a defender runs down B long on bind, looking for a pick, and runs into the entire enemy team. Okay, so he's visualizing a Phoenix running down at the enemy team. And he says that your average scenario here with almost any agent is that you run out into a 1v5 and die. You'd probably think to yourself, wow, all 5 of them were there. That was a dumb spot to stand. I should have played further back so I could escape or get a teammate to double peek with me and use utility to secure. But Reyna runs out, sees 5 enemies, and dies, but instead the lesson learned is my aim was bad. I would have been fine if I would have got the kill. Reyna will then try the same strategy again, and when she gets a kill, she is rewarded and her behavior is reinforced by dismissing and retreating back to site. So then what he's saying here is that if Reyna does this exact same play and she gets the kill, she can actually get away for free, and that aim is the only thing here that matters. Whether or not you got the kill, whether or not you actually win a duel with somebody, that's all that matters here, and that the play could be kind of perceived as valid from a low-ranking player, and that's why they never develop, and then they only develop their aim and they only get better at like fighting and dueling. So there's a couple of things that I actually agree with in this example, but there's huge things that I think he's overlooking. So the first thing that I agree with is the fact that Reyna is definitely going to reward you for winning a duel in this situation more than Phoenix, right? If Phoenix wins this duel, it literally doesn't matter. He could kill somebody and still die. He still gets punished for it unless he kills everybody somehow, which is just almost impossible. He's not going to be able to get out of this safely like a Reyna can. A Reyna can get that kill and get out. So maybe you might take from that, or some low-ranked player might take from that, hey, if I just have great aim, if I get this kill, I'm going to be able to get out safely. However, and I want to make this clear, that's the specific strength of Reyna as a character, that they can play an off angle or an aggressive angle and get out safely if they're given the opportunity to take a duel. But I want to imagine this scenario for a second. What if the opponent blinds out with a gecko blind, right? It's over, right? The Reyna's gonna get blind and she's gonna get shot and killed. And so a Reyna could be thinking from that, hey, I maybe shouldn't be playing in the open because I can't respond to certain things. I can't respond to a flash. I can't respond to certain pieces of utility. So you could still learn from a piece of utility, hey, I can't stay here. And there are other characters that don't get punished for someone using a piece of utility in the same way. Like, let's think of Jet, for example, a character that is not being flamed in this Reddit article. If they get blinded or flushed out with utility, they can dash away to safety in a way that Reyna could never get out. So Reyna is a character that actually gets rewarded for people that want to take raw duels with her, right? But heavily punished compared to other duelists against characters that want to use utility. So in a way, the worse players are at using their abilities, the better Reyna becomes. And the more opportunity they give her to take a raw gum duel, the better and better Reyna becomes as well. So in the same way that you are arguing that Reyna is a character that might not teach a player everything the same as other characters, which, by the way, is a point that to me doesn't make sense, because every character is going to teach you different things. There's no right or wrong way to play Valorant. Every character is going to teach you a different way to play the game, and it's a different way to get value on every single character. So I think that point doesn't really make sense. But in your own logic here, other players learn more about how to interact with characters that take off angles and flush them out with utility against a Reyna, because they're going to punish you more heavily for just trying to take an isolated duel with the character. So in a way, other people learn more up against Reyna. Now, this doesn't absolve Reyna of all of her problems, but I want to argue some of the other points that say, yeah, Reyna is actually maybe not one of the worst characters in the game health-wise, but let's keep going. So the second point he makes is that Reyna does not teach players how to effectively use utility for anyone other than herself. So Reyna's only situational piece of utility is a near sight blind. She's the only character in the game that has a castable blind with no downsides. So I believe this maybe was written before the long change where it actually has a further range now. But anyways, let's keep going. Every single other ability in the game that blinds affects your teammates. It's also one of the 2 blinds in the entire game that goes through walls. If you throw a sky flash directly out in the middle of a fight or throw your omen blind from the back line, you could blind your whole team and lose the fight. So I guess his argument here is that the blind is one that doesn't punish you for using it incorrectly. Let's keep going. Picture this scenario on a set A site. Attacker team is doing a full push against 3 defenders on A. If Omen misuses the blind here, he blinds the Jet playing dice, but also blinds his Deadlock and Clove. This puts the attackers at a massive disadvantage. Omen team loses the push and Omen gets flamed for team flashing. Omen, who wants to avoid this in the future, learns from his mistake. He now knows that he needs to stand off to the side or be aware of where his teammates are standing when he throws his blind. Now we swap Omen for Reyna. Reyna can throw her blind anywhere in any situation. It blinds anyone who could see it from any range. Reyna's team pushes the site, and if Reyna and her team dies, her only lesson to be learned is, my aim was bad, I would have been fine if I got the kill. Okay, this is like a crazy gross simplification of it, because the idea here that every ability, so I understand that you're kind of grouping flashes together, but let's just think about abilities generally. Abilities do not need to be something that punishes your teammates. Like, you do not need abilities that directly punish your teammates, or not every ability needs to be able to be misused on your teammates. Imagine, just as a hypothetical, there's a recon dart that tags everyone, even your teammates, and then you have to think really crisply about how the dart is going to scan, because it might scan your teammates, right? You could argue, hey, that's better, that's stronger, because, you know, it's something that you could learn from, and there's a learning moment there where you have to be more aware of your teammates. That's not what every ability is for. And in this regard, the concept of a blind that doesn't need to like affect your teammates is so that your teammates can peek with it. Y'all can peek at the same time it's out. Y'all can use it in a space, and you know that anything that's near that space cannot see, so then you can clear that space. You can walk that space together as a team. It's meant to be that. That's what it's designed to be. Now, whether or not that's a powerful or overpowered or too weak ability for Valorant is a developer argument here, but to say that because the ability is not something that you need to learn the layers to, so that you're not punishing your teammates and that you get like that feedback from misusing it, that seems a little bit strange, and I don't think is a very strong argument, especially because anyone who's played Reyna understands that if you throw out a flash and the enemy's too close, it's not going to do anything. If you throw out a flash, oftentimes it's going to get shot and you're going to die. There's a lot of moments where the flash just does nothing. I mean, it just gets shot instantly. And it's also a flash that, unlike like a Phoenix Flash, where Phoenix Flash is something that everyone's going to have to turn to, it's going to get value against multiple people, this is a flash that becomes weaker the more people, you know, that are defending. Like, if you flash this into 3 people, they're going to have a lot easier time shooting the flash right away and dealing with you and making it a lot weaker and mitigate it. So there are strengths and weaknesses to this ability, and there are incorrect ways to use it. Maybe you don't always feel those ways, but there are incorrect ways to use it, and it's not just only about your aim. There are layers to that too. And so let's go on to the next point, which is Reyna does not teach players how to effectively use ultimate abilities. Every single ultimate in the game except for Reyna's has a set of use case scenarios and a set of non-use case scenarios. For example, you wouldn't Phoenix ult in the middle of sight, you get punished. You wouldn't use your Killjoy ult in mid, you'd get punished. Reyna's ultimate is the only ultimate in the entire game that can be used effectively on round start every time it's available. There is no downside to using Reyna ult. You cannot disadvantage or kill your teammates with the Reyna ult. You cannot put yourself in a disadvantage with the Reyna ult. You cannot waste the Reyna ult by any measure other than inactivity. The only lesson to be learned from dying and losing the Reyna ult is, again, my aim was bad, I would have been fine if I got the kill. Now, I think this is probably your strongest argument for the conclusion, which is my aim was bad, I could have got the kill. But also, once again, don't think that every single ultimate or ability needs to have some sort of great lesson. And that's kind of the thing about Reyna as a whole. It's understanding that this is a character that 100% incentivizes taking off angles, being proactive at taking duels and fighting in 1v1s, and it's a character that gets a lot of benefits based on getting kills more than other characters. Does that mean that you don't learn other things about Valorant from playing Reyna? No, it doesn't. You learn a lot of things about Valorant, playing with other agents, understanding how to take good positions against utility, understanding how to take duels and when to take duels, and other aspects about Valorant around playing post-plan and a million other things, right? So you learn a lot more than just, oh, I should have got kills playing Reyna. That's pretty obvious that we don't only learn just about aim and just about getting kills with Reyna. And yes, I would agree with you that her ultimate is very one-dimensional compared to pretty much every other ultimate in the game. However, I think that's fine. I don't think every single ultimate or ability needs to be multi-dimensional, multi-decision making. Now, you could argue that that is a game design that you don't like, and I guess that's what you are arguing, that she's a failure of game design. But to say that you learn nothing from that and that that is unacceptable, I think is a little bit strange. Now, let's move on to number 4, and it says Reyna does not teach players about trade opportunities. Reyna dismissive heal mechanics effectively allow her to cancel or heavily mitigate any trade opportunities presented to her enemies. And I'm going to summarize what he's saying here, but basically what he's effectively saying is that in this situation, the opponents would get actually some sort of benefit by playing together, and they're taught to actually trade out each other against other characters. Like if the Fade killed the Harbor, the Gecko could trade. But in this situation, the Reyna would be able to get out and not be traded out because she could get that first kill and leave. And that's 100% true. Reyna gets to benefit from the thing that her character is specifically good at. I agree with you. But unlike Fade, she can't just clear this with the dog, gather information about where they are, or do the many other things that Fade can do, but she can do this thing, this specific thing she can do. Once again, I'm not arguing that Reyna is some amazing masterclass in game design. I actually don't think that. But to just say that Reyna's strengths are things that are unfair, that's basically what he's saying, is that the learning capability for people that are playing against her and the Reyna herself is being capped because of this strength. I think it is silly because the Gecko could easily have blinded here, and then the Reyna gets flushed out, and then you know that there's a Reyna. So you have that information about a character that is a character that you need to swing at the same time because there's actually a delay between the time that she could actually run away, so potentially you could actually kill her. Or you need to set up a situation where you flush her out again, you use your utility, you use all the things that your characters have that she does not have to actually force her out of this location, which you could, or set up an advantage fight against her that she does not have. So anyways, let's read his conclusion, which says, so where does this leave players that only play Reyna? They learned in almost every situation that their aim was poor and that they need to secure kills to win. Every win condition as Valorant is getting the kill. There are no nuances or complex mechanics to interact with in this game as long as you get the kill. You do not need to perfect your utility usage and sight takes as long as you get the kill. You do not need to worry about being traded as long as you get the kill. What are the consequences of this? We've seen from the above examples that Reyna is far too easy and far too forgiving to players, and while other players using agents are climbing the ranks learning a wide variety of skills such as effective utility usage, strategy, positioning, teamwork, and other meta knowledge, Reyna players are learning that their only mistake was not getting the kill. And as TLDR said, Reyna as an agent does not have to interact with almost any of the complex systems and strategies of Valorant, and people that only play Reyna are not given equal learning opportunities to their peers, only developing their aim, leaving their game sense in the gutter. Now, once again, my final response to this is I don't think that these are great arguments against Reyna. There are abilities on Reyna that are more one-dimensional, especially her ultimate. And I do think that Reyna is far more aim-centric than other characters at getting value. Wins or losses are going to be more aim-centric and whether or not you win the duel. But there are actually so many things to learn as a Reyna player up against players that use great utility. And there are extra things that players can learn up against the Reyna because of the fact that she is so strong against setting up these duels that you are punished for taking aggressive duels and losing against Reyna without backing that against utility. But unlike other characters that have ways to get out of situations, you know, Yoru and Jet get to get out of situations that they're actually hit with utility. Someone could use an ability properly and they could get out, and they could even get a kill and get out. But we're not complaining about these characters, and I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying that this feels very picky and choosy, where we're being very selective about a character, and we're targeting her very specifically, but not giving any credit to counterpoints to this, or oversimplifying the skill level of Reyna players that actually climb with the character, thinking that they only have good aim, that's why they're high rank. I'm going to tell you something. Having great aim is going to climb you on any character. It doesn't matter if it's Reyna. And if you think that someone that's a high-ranking Reyna player is not going to be a reasonably high-ranked player at other characters too, you'd be wrong. That's it. You'd just be wrong, 100%. That being said, I do think the thing that I find most problematic about Reyna is actually not even her dismiss, but her devour. But that's an argument or a conversation for another video. Let me know how you feel about Reyna's design, though. Even though I didn't really love his arguments here, maybe you have a much stronger argument to make about why you think Reyna is a failure of game design, or maybe overpowered or not a great fit for Valorant. I definitely want to hear your opinions about that in the comments down below. Thank you so much for coming by. I hope you enjoyed the video. Check out Gosu Academy in the links down below, and I'll see you next time.